Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Sunday to each and every one of you guys. Appreciate you tuning in. This is a new episode of Dbacks Dispatch with your trio, myself, Brett, Gabe on my right, Brandon to my left. We welcome you guys in as we unfortunately have to talk about a series loss in the nation's capital to the Washington Nationals, who going into the series were only a one-win team. But before we, kind of dive into all that, again, if this is your first time, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. It really does help out the algorithm and all that, genuinely. Follow us on Twitter as well as Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky if you want. I know we're not as active on Blue Sky, but definitely recommend you guys go follow us on Twitter. There's a bunch of banger memes, and even like TikTok and Instagram, where we're starting to get a little bit of a bigger following. So we appreciate seeing you guys over there. Join the Discord. It's in the description below. It is free to join. You don't have to pay any money. Great Dbacks community in there, especially during each game. The game day thread is always popping off. Plus, there's a bunch of other like non-related Dbacks stuff. So if you guys want to join a community of Dbacks fans, again, check out the description below. And then also go on over to azsnakepit.com. There's a bunch of articles. They have their own, game day discussions as well. There's multiple articles every single day, as well as us having a little bit of a written recap. So if you guys are interested in a little bit more written form content from yours truly over here, go check us out on AZ Snakepit. But like I said, the D-backs did unfortunately drop this series to the Washington Nationals. Game one, they did win. They opened up the series with the win, which was nice. A little bit of a back and forth action. The Nationals were touching up Brandon Pfaadt for a couple home runs here and there. We'll dive deeper into that, but they did escape that game with a 6-4 win. Yesterday, Saturday afternoon, wherever you might be, the D-backs did lose that one as a score of 3-4. And then today, unfortunately, on a day where I assume a lot of us were hoping and expecting a win, Corbin Burns just was not himself, and the D-backs ended up losing this one 4-5. So 2 one-run losses, again, in the series that even before we were talking about definitely wanted to at least minimum be a series win. And I believe they were talking about on the broadcast, I think this is the Diamondbacks' first series loss to Washington in Washington since the 2017 season, I think they were saying, or maybe it's definitely been at least 5+ years since they've lost a series to the Nationals. So that was series winning streak, or at least series tying, series split streak has been ended. And, we get to go into our week a little bit disappointed as they could not come away with the Sunday win and salvage the series win. So, gentlemen, before we kind of, break down and go more in depth to each one of these games, what are some of your guys' thoughts, reactions, opinions, and maybe what stuck out to you for this 3-game set in the nation's capital?
Yeah, this was just overall a really pathetic series overall for this team. The starting pitching was terrible. The offense was terrible. The defense was terrible. Honestly, the only real saving grace, I guess, was the bullpen a little bit. They were pretty solid, other than Matt Supply today, which is going to happen. But yeah, it's just so frustrating to watch. The fact that this team can't score runners in scoring position. They lost these last 2 games by 1 run, and they don't score at all in the starting pitching. They just refuse to score on them. They don't. We've talked about it the last show where we're talking about the Yankees, and I kept saying, at least in that one, like, yeah, sure, this is the answer backs, but we don't want to rely on the answer backs because at some point during the game, you're going to run out of time. You can't wait until the 7th inning if you're down, and in that case, it was like 9 runs, but you can't expect this offense to just score 4, 5, 6, 7 runs in the 8th inning and then, make it out every single time. Like, at some point, you're going to have to be able to score runs early and score them often, and then, you're able to put away teams. But when you're just waiting until the end of the games to score and making these starting pitchers go in as deep as they are, you're going to have a recipe for failure. And we saw that last year. We're seeing it again this year. This is not a progressing team in terms of, we're not trying to develop this team anymore. This team is here. This team is supposed to be contending. We're supposed to have the supposed best pitching starting pitching staff in the league, and so far they've shown they're not that. Our most consistent starter has been Brandon Pfaadt, who's given up 7 runs in 12 innings, which isn't terrible, but it's not the best either. And everyone else just gives up 4 runs, 4+ runs. Merrill Kelly was terrible. Corbin Burns just had no command today, gave up 4 runs. Erod had the weirdest stat line of all. But although I will defend Erod in just saying that there's some misplays in the outfield that cost him a couple of runs as well. But that, again, that goes to the defense. The defense was terrible in this game and these last 3 games. The outfield defense was very weird, but at least, again, for that one, the Nationals were struggling as well. So I don't know, maybe it was just weird and cloudy, or the lights in Nationals Park. There's something there that just makes it really hard to see the ball. But you can't drop these games. You can't keep losing games like this, especially by 1 run when the Dodgers refuse to lose, the Padres refuse to lose, Giants refuse to lose. They're now 4 games back. I haven't checked the score in the Dodgers game if that one's over or not. But everyone says, "Oh, it's still early, still early." I'm like, okay, sure, it's still early, and you can't win the division in April, but you can sure as hell lose it.
Sorry, my mic muted. Yeah, say there's definitely a lot of things not to like about this. I do fully agree with this team. This is they're here now. There's no more developing. Like you can still develop players and still like obviously a rookie, coming up into the series making their debut. They're not just going to be expected to be an all-star right out of the gate, but still the team in general. We're not in a space where we're just hoping and wanting to see some development, being happy with the small wins while still losing. Like we need to see this team, win these games against, I'll say it, lesser teams. Like the Nationals have a scrappy bunch. They got some good players, but again, going into the series, they were 1-6. Like you got to at least split the series. So I fully agree with you on
Well,
a
you
lot
can't
of what you
split
said.
3.
Or sorry, you should have at least
So
won the series. Should have at least won the series minimum. A sweep would have been more ideal, but it just sucks having 2 of the losses be 2 1-run losses. And their runners in scoring position hitting not being the greatest, but we can maybe bring that up a little bit later. But Brandon, kind of same thing to you. Was there anything that stuck out to you? Maybe you're echoing some of the same thoughts as Gabe. What kind of stood out to you just overall from the series, L in the nation's capital?
sometimes you just have a bad series. It's just the way that just sometimes you play down to your competition. And I think that's exactly what they did. They felt really good about themselves taking 2 out of 3 from the Yankees, the repeating AL champions, and I just think they went in not really thinking they had to try that hard against the Nationals. But the thing right now that's literally infuriating right now is the starting pitching. Like they've given up 12 first inning runs. Like you are already putting this offense behind the 8 ball before the game really even gets started. Like it's really that's the one thing right now that's really a concern to me is the starting pitching just having that blow up. And then we saw it in basically every game of this series, Nationals were basically out front from the get-go. And that's the main thing that I'm very nervous about. I know Gabe is you can lose it. I know the Giants and Padres are hot right now, but they can also do what we do. They can also have a bad series, which they're having against the Cubs right now. So that gives me hope that they can do the exact same thing. They can have a bad stretch. The Dodgers are the Dodgers. I know winning the division was an extreme long shot. I personally do not think that the Giants are gonna sustain this over 162. I just don't, because I don't think that their offense can keep up with us, the Dodgers, and the Padres. I just don't. So unless they somehow their entire starting pitching staff has a 3 ERA, I think the Giants will eventually come back down to earth. Our offense is not, as a whole, is doing well for the most part. It's our starting pitching. Our starting pitching is putting us behind the 8 ball right off the bat. It's really hard to come back from 4, right off the bat. It's just a mindset. And then what happened with this team on Friday with Marte, that's the one that one really hurt, because he hadn't had that issue with his hammy for all of last season. So I really thought that whole hamstring thing was behind us. Now, congrats to Carroll having 2 homers in game 1. Jerry continues to hit. Jerry being basically our RBI leader, I did not see coming. I really didn't. So I'm hoping once we get back home,
RBI leader.
Yeah, that's just weird. Like, that's just a weird sentence to say. Geraldo Perdomo is your league's RBI leader, but that's what Jerry does. He drives guys in, and he's hitting. So hopefully, once we get back home, hopefully starting pitching kind of gets their shit together.
Yeah, I agree. So the nice thing, I mean, I guess not the nice thing. It'll be tough because they do got to face a good roster in the Orioles coming in back to Phoenix, but at least they do, stay 500 on the road trip. Definitely want to see them turn around a little bit more. But I do agree the starting pitching needs to be a little bit better, especially I know I said in our group chat. It seems like no matter what pitcher, whoever it is, the second they get paid money by the team, they put in a D-backs uniform, they just are not themselves. Like they're not their normal Mad Bum was Mad Bum. Like people already saw the writing on the wall of like the miles on his arm and all that, but that was all obviously terrible. Erod's had some good starts here and there. We'll obviously dive deep more into his game 2 start here. But Burns not efficient at all. They even brought up maybe it's just the Nationals. Hasn't beat the Nationals in his career yet. He's had like a 3 or 4+ ERA against them, I believe they were mentioning at the beginning of the broadcast. So just overall, not what we want to see from our starting pitching. But it's hopefully it's still a little bit early, so don't want to be raising too many alarm bells, but definitely want to see them, especially the defense, kind of get some of these things figured out and solved a little bit sooner if they can. Before we get into obviously going a little bit more in depth with each one of these games one by one, do want to obviously bring up and go through some of the comments we got. So again, shout out each and one of you guys in the live chat here chilling with us. M kind of echoes Brandon's and Gabe's thoughts here, saying our starting pitching is killing us first and foremost, followed by defense and some dead bats in our lineup. And that is true. Some guys are a little bit slower at the plate to start the season and aren't clicking as well. And then same with the starting pitching. It's just a little bit inconsistent. Jeff saying that D-backs haven't lost a series to the Nationals since 2021. They haven't lost a series to the Nationals or in DC to the Nationals since 2017. So yes, that was unfortunate. That streak of beating them is a little bit over. I'm also saying that, not trying to be doom and gloom, it's early, losing Cattell hurts, which we'll dive into Cattell here in just a second. But they've not been impressed with basically any aspect except for J Mart in the bullpen, and I think that's valid to bring up. Even Scott Mack is saying, and kind of echoing a little bit of the thoughts on the starting pitching, saying, do we have a true ace? I'm having my doubts. Which, when they're locked in, I think we do have 2 true aces, but we just haven't seen that. We saw Gallen in his true form and one of his best forms, obviously against the Yankees in that last series. But it's just kind of, I think consistency is the big word. Kind of talking about all of just the entire rotation, the team in general. Charles Elliott saying, is Gavin Allen play 3 games in a row? Like, why are we sending him? We'll definitely, probably bring that up here in either game 2 or 3. So we'll get our thoughts in on that one. And then even, I've mentioned this one a little bit in our group chat too. Gino's stone cold, where he has the 5 home runs, but he's hitting like a $182, a $180 something right now with like a 900 OPS. So those home runs are definitely doing the carrying. We're seeing Gino.
All his hits are homers plus 1 double.
Yeah, so we're definitely seeing early season Gino last year, which we don't want to see. Hopefully he can kind of figure it out a little bit, just like the rest of the team. But again, we are 10 games into the season. Hopefully a little bit more better baseball is on the horizon. But getting into a little bit more in depth, obviously breaking down some of these games. We'll start with game 1, go chronological order, where things were nice, things were looking good. They did win the opening game of the series, 6-4. They did get 1 run in the first inning, which was nice. Josh Naylor with the line drive single. Garrett Hampson came around to score on that one, but then Brandon Pfaadt got touched up by the Nationals a little bit. CJ Abrams, which was not even a terrible pitch. CJ Abrams pulled an outside fastball over the wall for a home run, which I guess I should really quickly address. The reason why Garrett Hampson scored in the first inning is because Ketel Marte was 3 feet away from hitting a home run. But unfortunately, it was a double, and he was going to get a triple most likely, but did pull his hamstring on his way to second. So that was unfortunate. We'll get our thoughts on that in just a minute there. But CJ Abrams home run, Luis Garcia home run. So the Nationals did put up 3 on Brandon Pfaadt in the first inning. So the home run issue is still lingering with him. Corbin Carroll hit 2 home runs in this day, one in the third, which got the D-backs within 1, and then another one in the top of the 5th, which was a 2-run shot that put them up 4-3. Nathaniel Lowe got on the home run action. He hit his third of the season, which was the third that Brandon Fogg gave up just in this game alone, tied it up. And then Randall Grichuk was clutch against the left-handed pitcher once again, and drove in 2 on a double, bringing it to 6-4, which the lead would then hold. Obviously, things were great. The D-backs won the game. That was, kind of what mattered overall. But the big thing that, I know it was especially happening in the first inning that was on our minds was Ketel Marte having that hamstring injury, and then Torey Lovullo going on to saying that he will miss weeks, not days. So what are your thoughts, gentlemen? Everyone else in the chat as well. I'm curious to hear your guys' takes. What are your thoughts on, Ketel missing at least considerable time? Obviously, the weeks and days comment, meaning he's not going to be back probably, I'd say, before the end of April is my best guess. But I'm curious your guys' thoughts about, Ketel's injury, what it means for this team, especially going into this first full month of the season.
So it's incredibly frustrating. We already talked about the fact that they're a 500 team right now. They're struggling to score runs, and the guy who we could always rely on was Ketel Marte. And Tim Tall looked very good. Hampson has not looked the best, but just this is our MVP. You need your MVP if you're going to be able to compete. Like, we can have a couple games in a row, or maybe Tim Tall is going to look good, or Garrett Hampson's going to look good, but none of them are ever going to look as good as Ketel does consistently, day in and day out. And so losing him is just such a huge blow. Like, this team, in terms of depth, this is a guy that we can't replace. And we thought maybe Jordan Lawler, he might be a guy that we can call up, but I think just if Ketel is going to be out for 6 weeks or something, 6, 7, even 2 months, I do think that they might have to have the discussion about Lawler. But in the meantime, they bring up Tawa. We can see what he does. He's very fast, but again, he's not going to provide the slug and triples and home runs that Ketel brings. And I think that really affected the vibe of the clubhouse. It messed him up pretty quick early on, but again, you have to be able to play who you have, and as of right now, we don't have enough depth to replace Ketel, unfortunately. And this is something that I've been screaming from the rooftops for a while about the off days. Torey gives guys off days over and over again. He's been doing it with Gabby, who I believe I did the math. He's projected to play in 100 games and projected to start 90 games. Like, this is our all-star catcher, and he's not going to be. He's a part-time player right now. Ketel already had 2 days off. 2 days that he didn't start. He had 4 days off or something like that in 8 days before this happened, and he still got hurt. So, like, what the hell? Where's the logic in that? So the whole thing about keeping guys off their feet and not playing them, blah blah blah, off days, getting our main best starters off days on getaway days, even though they have a day off tomorrow. The whole point of that is so they don't get injured, and yet still get injured. Like, yeah, this happens. Like, I don't understand this whole logic of, well, we have an off day today, so that means he won't get injured tomorrow. I'm like, no, that doesn't happen. It's just it's not the way things work. Like, I don't understand it. Same, this weird, stupid saying that I've heard my whole life about sports is like, oh, well, we're getting injuries out of the way early now. How does that make sense? Injuries happen no matter when they happen. They're going to be at the beginning, at the end. Injuries just happen. You can have in the playoffs. Look at Shohei last year. Last couple games of the series, he injured his shoulder, and that's why he hasn't been stealing. The injuries are going to happen no matter what. You can't just protect guys and put them in bubble wrap, even though sometimes we do want to, like Gallon, who in the off season, will try to repair an electrical socket, and he'll cut up his finger, so he won't be able to start spring training on time. Like, stuff happens. You have to be willing to play guys a little bit more consistently. And I think bringing in guys like Ketel, cold, like it was, with the wind chill, something like 50 degrees in Yankee Stadium, and he brings him in to pinch hit and play a couple innings. Like, just leave him on the bench, man. Like, if he's gonna have an off day, let him have an off day. They're not training as if they're gonna start. Like, they have about an hour or two of warming up and everything before a game. I'm sorry, I'm going over my time, but if you go to the stadium, you show up as soon as you go in, these guys are stretching, they're catching fly balls, they're doing so many different things to get ready to play for the day. And if you bring them cold, like, yeah, sure, they have trainers in the back to help them stretch out, but it's not the same as having 2 hours of stretch time, of catching fly balls, of moving, of running, of sprints. It's not the same workout. And if you ever played sports, you would know that. Like, I've been brought in to substitute halfway through, specifically soccer, and the next day I'm sore. That's the days I've messed up my own hamstrings and my ankles, because it's just not the same as getting 30 to 40 minutes of actual warming up time, and it's so frustrating. I think that's why he got injured. Then there's also the weird Amtrak stuff, just sitting down a lot, and it's frustrating, and yeah.
Yes, I think you kind of echo a lot of our thoughts. I mean, again, injuries you can never prevent them, but I do feel like a lot of times you can, in my opinion, it's one of those where sometimes a little bit too much time off, can sometimes be a bad thing, because if you're resting a bunch and not staying full speed and all that stuff, then it can lead to things like this. I genuinely think that this is just, again, Cattell's had this injury for a while. I think it just flared up at an unfortunate time. At least it's happening early in the season. So hopefully it's one of those where, again, I'd rather have him be sat down for a while, fully recover, especially if Tim Tawa can fill in at least as a good fill-in piece. I'd be okay with that. I definitely would have preferred Lawler coming up, especially it's the perfect opportunity. Give him some more time. Garrett Hampson is basically like Jose Herrera with speed at times. I know Jose went yard today, which is very funny timing in our group chat that I'll bring up later too.
That made me laugh.
that was the most hilarious thing. So we'll say that for game 3 when we get to it. But yeah, there's just, it's unfortunate with Cattell. But again, hopefully this team has a little bit more depth that they can, kind of show off and shine. But I think it's just something about, maybe it was just a mixture of everything, of the Amtrak, everything like that kind of led to just the entire offense and whatnot just not doing as well. But they're definitely going to have to pick up their slack. I know Corbin's, doing his job, or at least trying to do as much as he can. I know Perdomo's obviously, like we said, leading the league in RBI, so he's doing his best. But we need the rest of the team I want to start seeing, hopefully Naylor can get his first home run as a D-back. Need a little bit more pop, need a little bit more power, because we are definitely going to be missing that with Cattell gone. But Brandon, same thing to you. What are just your thoughts on Cattell being out for multiple weeks at least, his hamstring injury, and what it kind of means for the team going forward?
I know Gabe was very like the whole up and down thing, like him starting and then not starting, like felt like that contributed. I don't like, had he not had this been like the first time, maybe. This is a chronic issue for Cattell. I watched that hit at least 10 to 15 times. The dude is jogging to first and then all of a sudden goes into a full sprint. I truly think that's what it was, is that he went 0 to 100 a little bit too fast. And with his history of issues with his hamstring, that's what it was. I truly don't think it was him going like playing half games and then playing full games and then half games. And I don't even think the whole Amtrak thing, had it been a report that he just had a cramp, then I'd say, yeah. I just think that he has just bad history with his hamstring, and he just went 0 to 100 too fast on that play. I just hope it's not too bad. For me, if he can come back like around May 15th, like if he can only miss about a month or so, I think that's going to be a massive win for us. We need Corbin Carroll to do what he did on Friday. Like, Corbin needs to hit those homers. I'm very curious to see what Corbin did, I think it was last year when Marte was out. It would be really great to see what those numbers were, because I know most of the time that Marte missed last year was in the second half, and that's when Corbin went off last year. With Marte being out, Carroll needs to be the dude. Like, he is the other face of our franchise. Like, you could really say that it's Marte and Carroll is like a 1A and a 1B. So Carroll needs to really step up, which he did on Friday, and then he did today with that triple. So he's off to a decent start. But he's going to need to do it for the next month or so until Marte comes back. And it's still that swing, that batting stance, it still throws me off. It's still super weird. But as long as he continues to do this, I don't care. I'm like, if you need to look like that to hit homers and gappers and singles, go ahead and do it. So I'm hoping Marte's not out too long. May 15th for me I'll be like, okay. June 1st at the latest, I'd be all right. But the team needs to be honest, Gabe kind of like this team can't afford to go anything like 500 is their base. They need to stay above 500. If they can go, I think 4 or 5 games over with Marte out, for me, that's a massive dub. Just stay in that wild card hunt. Obviously, a division title would be awesome. But it's the Dodgers, so I'm not holding my breath on that. So hopefully they can just beat the teams they're supposed to beat. That's what's frustrating. Is this Nationals team? We should have swept them. We had a shot to win games 2 and 3. They couldn't hit with runners in scoring position, and that's probably one of the most infuriating things.
Yeah, and
Yes,
I
one of
kind of want to bring up. Sorry, I kind of want to bring up one of M's comments talking about Tawa, that he can play the outfield too. Yeah, that's one of the main things that we talked about in our group chat. Just Tawa had literally been playing every single position except pitcher and catcher in the minor league, so he can be anywhere. He can also sub in for Naylor if needed. But I think she makes a really great, or I actually don't know what M is, but they make a really great point about Jake. He's 0 for 19, just not there's no production with Jake. He's not hitting the ball hard, where there's nothing where you can be. We've defended Alec before, and people talk about the him rolling over, but he would also smoke balls left and right, and you're just like, he's gonna come out of it. He's gonna come out of it, and right now we've seen that he's batting well over 300. He's driving guys in. He's making really good contact, hitting doubles, triples. He's looking really, really good, and Jake is just striking out or soft little ground ball straight to the pitcher. Just there's nothing there, and right now he's been a negative for this team. He hasn't been playing the best defense either, and I do think we're coming home now. There's not a super far ride on on the plane to bring Lawler up and sending Jake down. Jake needs to start playing every day, and he needs to start hitting again, because I'm fine right now. If Alec is going to be hitting, then I'm fine with those 3 outfielders, and Tim Tall can play outfield. But we need a consistent
Grichuk too.
Grichuk. We have quite a few guys there, and right now he's an odd man now. And I think, Tim Tall, like I said, Tim Tall is fine out there, I think, and Hampson has been not the best. And I think sending Jake down and bringing up Lawler, I think it's going to provide a huge spark to this team. We can't replace the 9, anywhere from 7 to 9 WAR that Catel's going to bring for this team, but we can replicate it in the aggregate. Bring in guys who are going to get on base, who have the speed, and that's what we need right now. We need guys who can run the bases, because sometimes they just get stranded. They're not stealing at all. That's something that
Naylor's leading
really
the team in
at.
steals, which is
that's what I want to start off saying. This is pathetic. That's one of those pathetic things. Just the fact that how the hell does Naylor have all these steals? But I do think right now Jake is a liability. And yes, I know it's early, but 0 for 19. And I brought up the stat the first series that he was 22 for, I think that time is 111. It's probably 22 for 120 something at this point, since starting from last year. He's been terrible, and he needs to get sent out. And I know he's a fan favorite and everything, but I would much rather see Lawler up here taking the everyday position at second base.
Yes, I guess before we go into the next game, we can, since you kind of brought it up there, I know you got some of your thoughts in here, but even M is in the comments here asking us, what are your thoughts on them not calling up Lawler? Personally, not too surprised, just generally because it seems like they want him to get those full ABs, which again, I still think that maybe not playing 5-6 times a day or 5-6 times a week would be, I guess, feasible, because I don't think Tawa and all that, but I still think that, again, I'm not saying that I'm not happy for Tawa, which again, we'll get to him in game 2. It is nice to see him at least get his shot. He's been, in the league, or I think the minors, and he's been tearing it up, especially to start Reno this year, so he deserves it. But I was genuinely a little surprised. I figured it would have been a great opportunity to let Lawler come up here, but I guess maybe their fear is he comes up here, Catel's back in 3 weeks, and they have to send him down if he's doing really good. Or just, keep him in get rid of Garrett Hampson, but that's just me. But Brandon, I'm curious to see what you have to say about M's question here about them, not calling up Jordan Lawler in view of obviously this Ketel Marte injury.
So the reason they brought up Tawa is he has plenty of experience at second base. Jordan Lawler's played like 3 games. That, for me, that's why they didn't call up Jordan Lawler. They want him to get I'd probably say another 30 to 45 games playing second base. Like before spring training, he hadn't played second base. So he played it during spring. He's playing it in arena right now. Like, do we really want him to learn second base on the job right now? I personally do not. I personally do not want Jordan Lawler to learn second base at the major league level on the job with the state of the National League right now.
He played it during the Winter League, though. He played quite a few games there in Winter League.
But that's still, what, like 30 games, 40 games? Like, for me, it's not enough yet. Like, Tim Tawa played it all of last season. So he's probably close to 80 to 100 games. So I just also, and I think they probably were like Tawa's, like Marte's maybe being out. Like I think their initial thought was like 2 weeks. So they're like, why bring up Lawler if he's only going to be playing full time for about 2 weeks? I think second base is going to be a platoon right now with Tawa and Garrett Hampson. Which it is what it is. Like I outside of the base running blunder against the Cubs, I thought Hampson has done a decent job when he's been asked to play. Like he's not like outside the Cubs games, he is not causing us to lose games because of his play at second base. So right now, I don't think playing Tawa and Hampson is as bad as, like, yes, Lawler is our top prospect. Of course, we all want to see him up, but you can't do it until he's ready. And I know a lot of people say, well, bring up Lawler, put him at short, put Jerry at second. Why? Jerry has earned that spot. Why should, like, that's kind of disrespectful to Jerry, in my opinion. Like, I get that Lawler in the long run will probably be a better shortstop. But Jerry has earned it to play shortstop right now for this team, day in and day out. So I think it depends, because I think Marte, I think they're going to do some more stuff when the team got back to town. So I'm curious if they come back and they find out the injury is longer than they hope. Maybe it is May 15th to June 1st. Maybe at that point they're like, bye, Jake Lawler, you come up. So I'm curious to see if that's going to change anything.
Yes, I have a little bit of stuff on Jake that I'll bring up in a second, but I want to pass it to Gabe as well. Gabe, obviously, I know you touched on it just a little bit, but what is your thoughts on and obviously asking us, not calling up Lawler in lieu of Marte's injury?
I guess I wasn't surprised, just because, like Brandon was saying, we don't actually know how long he's going to be out. I think if he was going to be out for 6 weeks, they probably would have called him up. But I do think that's kind of the risk of he's only out for a couple of weeks, and then you bring up Lawler, and then you kind of in that awkward situation where you're like, do we send him down or do we keep him up? Do we get, DFA Hampson? Like, it brings up a few awkward questions, and I do think it's just slightly earlier in the season to bring him up. Tawa, he got drafted in 2021. He's going to be Rule 5 eligible, I think, next year, unless I'm wrong, but he should be up for that Rule 5. So I don't think this is a guy the team wants to lose out on. So bringing him up gives him a few more years of control. He is 25 years old, which is kind of a problem there, not just for the team, but for Tawa as well. And he could be a trade piece going forward because of his age and because of his experience in the minor leagues. So I don't think that there's, a huge issue with not calling up Lawler and calling up Tim instead. But like Brandon said, he's played the position a little bit more than Lawler has. I do think that, you don't want to start Lawler's clock if they're just going to be sending him back down. But if the news comes out tomorrow, they said they're going to do some MRIs as soon as they get home. If the news comes out tomorrow and he's going to be out a lot longer, then I do think they have to have the conversation about maybe splitting time between Tim and Lawler at the second base position and sending Lawler or even DFAing Hampson. I mean, he is 1 for 7, very, very short, limited time, obviously. But again, I would rather have our number one prospect there.
Yes, I think again, obviously, I love Jake, but in my opinion, the best mix is just send down Jake. Tawa can play outfield, so he can fill in for that spot, and then if you need to, you have Lawler that can fill in if you don't DFA Hampson. And the reason why I'm obviously talking about Jake, I know you mentioned earlier, going back to last year, he's just not doing good. And it's pretty rough. So I went to Fangraphs and I found his went and I looked at his numbers from August 1st of 2024 going into now. He is not been doing well. Obviously, last year to end the season, he had 54 hits in 197 ABs. He had a 247 batting average, 321 on base, and a 381 slug for a 705 OPS and a WRC plus of 96. But this year, obviously, again, still small sample size, only 21 plate appearances and 18 total at-bats because of his 2 walks. But obviously, the no hits. He has a negative 69 WRC plus. He has a little bit of a higher K percentage at 4.3%. But again, his OPS is 0.095. He's not seeing the ball well. He's not putting the ball into play. Like, he has a 60% ground ball rate, 56% pull rate, and then soft contact and medium contact. He's a 31% soft contact rate and a 43.8 soft contact rate. Where at least last year, yes, he was struggling last year, but he had over a 57% medium contact rate from August to end the season. So last year he was struggling, but what we're seeing from him right now is genuinely, like, I don't know if yips would be the right word at the plate, but he's not good. Like, I was even saying in the group chat, like, I would have rather had Jose Herrera take that AB in the 8th inning than Jake McCarthy at this rate, because, like, at least Jose had a couple hits on the day. Maybe he was seeing the ball pretty well at the ballpark, but Jake is just, there's nothing really, like, even like you said earlier about Alek Thomas, where Alek Thomas was hitting the ball hard and at some point it was going to bounce out, but he's just not. Like, Jake's not having that. He's getting so much soft contact. He's getting just terrible, like, terrible swings, it feels like. And I feel like a good stint in Reno, where it's such a hitter's paradise, might at least get him that confidence back. And, it could be one of those where Lawler, if he can play at what he's doing, him and Tawa, where if you do end up having to DFA Hampson, if he's not getting the job done, I think would be a nice shot in the arm. And, Lawler could bring some of the more stolen base back to this team. And I even, kind of like Jeff's comment here saying it'll be interesting to handle or see how they handle the Cattell injury. Team did a terrible job last year with Alek Thomas, who was basically out for almost a whole year. I'd be okay with him, as in Cattell, coming back as a DH only. And I mean, that'd be kind of nice. Like, obviously we have Grichuk and Pavin as our DHs, but still, like, you could slot in Cattell as another DH and at least give him more time off of his feet to let him, fully get back into the rhythm of things. But again, this will be probably a topic that we monitor and kind of look out for as we go through at least this next month. Obviously, missing Cattell, I think there'll be more eyes and whatnot on Garrett Hampson, each one of his ABs. If Tim Tawa just struggles and doesn't do as well, maybe they really need to make a move. Maybe they do end up sending him down, calling up Lawler. Like, who knows? But this will be something that we definitely will monitor throughout the rest of the season. So another good reason why you guys join our Discord, follow us on Twitter, because we'll be talking about it on both of those places whenever there's news or whenever it's a topic to be discussed. But moving on into game, actually, before we move on, I did at least want to bring up, I don't think we have a clip of it, Justin Martinez's strikeout of Nathaniel Lowe in game 1, that splitter, fucking disgusting. Like, I know it was listed as a splitter, but that's basically a forkball at 90 miles an hour. Insanely gross. If you haven't seen it already, go on Twitter, look it up. Rob Freeman, basically all the other pitching stat guys have been gushing over it, and I don't blame them. It was the most disgusting thing ever, and there's a reason why he should be, our closer. But moving on into game 2, obviously, we did lose this one. It wasn't the prettiest game, or I guess wasn't the worst game in score, but the D-backs just once again could not keep the Nationals. It was just a running theme this entire series. The Nationals just scoring runs in the first inning. They touched up Eduardo Rodriguez. They put up 3 on him in the first with a James Wood double and then an Alex Call single. The D-backs did end up, trying to scratch out a little bit. They obviously put up 3 in innings 6 through 9. And Eduardo Rodriguez, even though he got touched up in the first inning, a really solid day overall. He went 5 innings, gave it 5 hits, 4 runs, all of them earned, 1 walk, and 12 strikeouts. 12 strikeouts from Erod, who I don't think a lot of us knew he was or saw him as a big strikeout guy. So that was really solid to see. Bryce Jarvis, 2 innings of cleanup, only 1 walk and 2 strikeouts. And then Joe Mantiply, 1 inning, 1 hit, 2 strikeouts. So that was solid from him. His ERA is still at 8.10. So hope to see the all-star Joe Mantiply that we've been expecting. But the offense in general just wasn't too good in this game. You had obviously Grichuk went 1 for 2. Suarez, Gino, he is two walks, but another strikeout. His, we mentioned earlier, OPS is really up there, but his average is just, below the Mendoza line. Alec Thomas looked really solid. He went 2 for 4 with an RBI. Gabby went 1 for 4, and then even Tim Tawa, obviously his major league debut, got a base knock in his first at-bat, so that was great to see. But the offense was just nowhere to be found. They went 2 for 7 with runners in scoring position and 6 players left on base. So just kind of all around, just a disappointing game. Obviously, we even mentioned it in game 1, when your starting pitching is kind of putting you in a hole like they have been lately, it's tough to dig yourself out of. And the D-backs could not, unfortunately, do it in this game 3. So what are some of your thoughts, Gabe? I'll go to you, obviously, about, what do you make of Eduardo Rodriguez's start? What do you kind of make of the offense just kind of generally just getting shut down and just not really doing anything for most of the 9 innings there in game 2?
So I guess it's a really good sign for Erod. I mean, 12 strikeouts is a lot. That doesn't just happen by accident. I think he had really good command of his pitches. But again, there's I believe it didn't count as an error, the Gurriel misplay. Again, that's kind of a problem. And just the way MLB scores now, there's so many plays where you're kind of like, that should be an error, but they're just not counting it as an error. So now it's hurting pitchers. And, if you want a conspiracy theory, I think this is a way to stagnate pitchers' salaries, because if they have a lot higher ERA, then that means that they just won't get paid as well as they probably should. But overall, I thought he was quite good. I mean, that one was way too intense, but you take what you get. And I think it's a good sign for him. I think going forward, I mean, I don't think we're going to get 12 strikeouts every single time, but just the fact he was able to miss bats, it's a good sign for him. Not really much what we saw last year from him. And this is what I'm hoping for from this rotation, is just to have guy after guy after guy who can give this team a fighting chance. And he did. 5 innings, 4 runs, gave him a chance. The bullpen came in, shut down the door, gave him a chance, and just this offense could not perform. I believe Pavin was in the 3rd spot in this game as well. I don't have a problem with Pavin in the game, but he is not a 3-hole hitter, and we need a much better 3-hole hitter. Gino's been struggling, I know, but we have Naylor, we have Grichuk, we have quite a few guys who can score in runs, and I mean, freaking, we have Perdomo there with 12 RBI on the season, who's leading the National League in RBI. So at this point, you kind of try anything you can, but just the way this offense has been just completely stagnant. We knew this was going to be kind of an issue going forward, just not having Jock, not having Christian Walker, even losing Kevin Newman, just not being able to hit as many home runs as last year. And we mentioned that, maybe Corbin's going to be able to provide that boost. But when no one else is doing it, we don't have 3-4 guys who can match as many homers as we did last year. This is going to be an issue, and they're just not scoring either. Like I talked about last year about the, relying on home runs too much, but you got to at least hit maybe 1 or 2 a game. And when you're not scoring anyways, then you kind of need the home run.
Yeah, it's going to be a little frustrating if this is what we get throughout our season, where if our starting pitching does well, but the offense goes away, but then another game where the offense will do well, but starting pitches just puts us kind of in a hole that we just, or even lets it continue to snowball like we saw in game 3 today with Corbin Burns. It's going to be a roller coaster of a season. Again, season's not over. They're still 500, but definitely still wanted to see them, especially they're kind of coming to life there late in the game. They just couldn't, couldn't turn it around at the end there. But Brandon, kind of same thing to you. What are some of your thoughts on Eduardo Rodriguez's 12 strikeout outing? As long as the offense just kind of struggling to, I guess, just kind of get back into the game and make anything happen.
That first inning was rough. He had a lot of hard hit contact. I was like, oh great, this is happening again. Another rough first inning, putting this team really behind early on. I was very happy to see him settle in though. Like 12 strikeouts. Like I was like, wait, where did this come from? Now he had an 11 strikeout game last year at the Rockies. But like Erod is not a strikeout pitcher. He is a live on the corners, weak contact. So it was really great to see. All right, so he does still have this ability to put guys away, because that's the one thing from this road trip that was infuriating. Not being able to put batters away with either 2 outs or 2 strikes. That was like that drives me nuts. Like that, like when like you could be out of an inning, but your pitcher can't put a guy away. Like, especially like I don't care how many outs there are. When you get 2 strikes, you need to put the guy away. Whether that's a strikeout, ground out, fly out, whatever. Like it's in your favor. You need to go ahead and put the guy away. So I think that's the one thing that I'm going to keep my eye on over the next few weeks is, can this starting pitching staff put guys away? I'm fine if you don't strike him out. Just make sure to get these guys out when you get 2 strikes on them. So, and also, can we just not give up runs in the first? Like that would be great too. If we could give our offense a chance to take a lead early, so then our pitcher can kind of get in a groove. But if we can get this every 5th day from Erod as our number 4, it's going to be huge, massive, because we're not asking him to be our ace. We're just asking him to give us a shot on his days. So if he can kind of keep that ERA under 4, I think this team's going to figure out their bats. There's too much talent in the lineup for them to struggle. And we brought it up last year numerous times. Don't go home run or bust. That's not what this team is constructed for. They are constructed for singles and doubles. Now, it's nice to get those homers, but if that's what your offense is relying on, this team is just not for it. Pavin Smith is not a power hitter. I think Josh Naylor will eventually figure it out. I think Josh Naylor's doing really well. Leads the team in stolen bases. Blows my mind still. He's walking. Like, he may not have the power. Yes, Jose Herrera has more home runs than Josh Naylor. That is a weird sentence to say. Extremely weird. But I think he will figure it out. Again, we're 10 games into how many games? Like, and I think what makes this all worse is we're seeing what the rest of the National League West is doing. They're all scoring. They're all winning. So we feel like if we don't do it, we're going to fall behind really quickly. It's really hard to keep up that offensive production for 162 games. Like, teams are going to have these spurts where they just don't hit. So you got to stay within striking distance with the rest of the division.
Yeah, so we'll have to hopefully we can get this from Erod every 5th day, even if it's not the 12 Ks, and maybe give us 5, hopefully 6 innings, because it does seem like the D-backs aren't going through the many innings, which I do have a stat from our friend Jesse Freeman, which I love hearing Jesse talk about D-backs ball again. Which I'll bring up the stat once we kind of cover game 3, because I definitely feel like it'll fully entail what we're seeing from this team. But yeah, it's just unfortunate game. The first inning, the Nationals this entire series just were insane in the first inning, and just it's tough to kind of overcome that one. I think even this entire year in general, we're just not getting shut down innings. Like, the D-backs score, and whether it's 2-3 runs or even just the one, whether they score, they're immediately giving up some kind of runs back the very next inning. Like, it happened all series against the Cubs. Basically happened a bunch against the Yankees as well, and obviously with the Nationals. Like, when we're scoring, we're not getting shutdown innings when we need them. We're like the bullpen's doing a good job of it, but just in general, we're not being able to keep the other teams out of the scoreboard and keep the momentum on our side, going through the rest of the game. So that'll be something hopefully we can see them kind of turn around, at least starting the series against the Orioles that we got up. But we'll have to monitor that throughout the season. But then going on to game 3
just gotta
here.
make sure. Sorry about the starting pitching. Like most of these guys are going 5 innings. Like you can't have that over and over, for the next couple of months. It's just going to tax the bullpen, and it's going to be like last year. You're going to get to the September, and they're going to be gassed. Like at least we have, Dre in the minor leagues right now, so he can provide quite a few innings once he comes up.
Yeah, and he's looking pretty solid. So hopefully, if we need any bullpen reinforcements, we should have at least one guy that we can call on from Reno. But moving on into game 3 here, obviously the rubber match of the series. Things were looking good. We had Corbin Burnes on the bump. The D-backs started off. Corbin Carroll hit a leadoff triple, which was nice. Pulled down to the right field line. He is still just super fast. It's insane. Which he has over a 1032 OPS currently after today's game, so that's really nice to see. He did go 3 for 5 on the day. Perdomo did get a sacrifice fly, bringing in Corbin. But then the other Corbin, Mr. Burnes, just really, really rough first inning in general. Like that first inning was he walked CJ Abrams to start, gave up a single to Luis Garcia. He got Keibert Ruiz strikeout after a 6-pitch battle. But then Nathaniel Lowe, who's a really solid player, I think a little bit more of an underrated guy. And another reason why I think the Nationals bunch is a little scrappy, but Nathaniel Lowe did hit a double, which I guess could potentially list as an error on Corbin Carroll. I know line drive and hard hit balls are a little tough, but definitely looked like he kind of misread it a little bit, bounced off of his glove. And I think even Gabe said had like an 83% catch probability, but it was listed as a double. Then James Wood did walk to load the bases. He struck out Josh Bell, which looked pretty nice. 2 outs, bases loaded if he can get out of there with just 1 run. But then Alex Call drove in a run. Did have Nathaniel Lowe thrown out at home. Corbin Carroll looks like he's beefed up his throwing ability a little bit, actually gunned down somebody at home. So, limited the damage at 2-1. Jose Herrera did come up with 2 outs in the top of the second. And like I said before in our group chat, I was literally sitting there looking at, I screenshotted his career numbers, his numbers this year, put it in the group chat. I'm like, my brother, I'd rather have my grandma at bat. Like what does Jose Herrera do good? Doesn't throw guys out, doesn't really call a good game, can't really hit, and then immediately hits a game tying home run. And I'm like, okay, reverse jinx. I'll put it on that. But the smack or the trash talk about Jose immediately backfires. So the D-backs even things up. And then in the bottom of the second, the Nationals, like I was saying earlier, the D-backs just refused to basically have a shutdown inning. The Nationals put up another run, making it 3-2. Corbin Burnes at this point, I think he even gave up another one in the third inning. So the Nationals scored in 3 straight innings. They were up 4-2, and Corbin Burnes just did not look good. I believe Brandon had a graphic that he sent in our group chat. He threw like way more cutters than every other pitch. It's like he was just spamming cutters. It's like me against the rookie CPU Rockies, where I'm just throwing the same goddamn pitch over and over and over. I think you're muted, Brandon. Hold on. I couldn't hear you, Brandon. I don't know if Gabe could or if anybody else could. Oh, no. I can't hear either of you guys. Say something, Gabe. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, we can't hear you, Brandon. I don't know what happened there. But yeah, I'll wrap up the recap here really quick. But yeah, Corbin Burnes is not looking good. The D-backs obviously did come back in this to make things interesting. It was 4-5 in the top of the ninth inning. Corbin Carroll did get his 3rd hit of the day, get into scoring position, which was nice to see. Alec Thomas did come up there and he hit a triple, 97-mile-an-hour rocket into the left field, did get into third. So the tying run was on third base with 2 outs. And then Jake McCarthy grounded out this is in the 8th inning. So Thomas hit that triple, made it 5-4. Jake McCarthy came up in lieu of Jose Herrera and got to pinch hit for him and hit a ground ball to the shortstop, 88 miles an hour. And once again, could not get a hit. 9th inning came around. The D-backs looked like they were going to be doing something. Corbin Carroll hit a double. Perdomo got him over to third base on a ground out. But then Randall Grichuk, unfortunately, could not get things done. And he ended the game with a ground out to the shortstop. So the D-backs, again, do drop this one 4-5. Kind of the big theme and the big thing I think that stuck out to a lot of us was just Corbin Burnes was not himself. He just was inefficient. Seemed like he lacked a lot of control. So I guess that's my question to you, gentlemen, as well as everybody in the chat. Through 2 starts, Burnes does not look as advertised. Should we be concerned at anything, whether his control, whether his strikeout numbers, anything like that, or is this again just pitchers are going to be a little bit probably more behind some of the hitters as they because he looked really good in spring training. He was really dominant, but has not had that carryover into the season. So is there anything that stuck out to you guys from Burnes, whether it's command or anything that like maybe you guys wanted to point out that like is somewhat of concern that we should keep an eye on as we, watch some of his other future starts?
I guess from the micro scale, I do think it was an issue that he was spamming so many cutters and just missing. He wasn't getting any swings and misses from it. He wasn't putting it in the zone. Wasn't dotting the line. He looked bad. He wasn't good today. I mean, he still went 5 innings, but he just didn't look anywhere near as good as he's ever looked. He's just looked sloppy, just inefficient out there. The biggest issue, I think, was the 2 strikes and the 2 outs. He would get 2 strikes, just could not put guys away. And then when he would get the 5th inning, I believe, he got 2 outs on 3 pitches. Looked like he was about to cruise, and then just could not put the guy. Oh, I guess it was the 4th. He couldn't put the guy away, and then extended the inning. He was able to get out of it, but it just extended the inning even more, made him throw a lot more pitches, and just kind of was it for him at that point. The Yankees series, the thing was just the nailer error. So with that one, I was fine, first time out, but still he wasn't as sharp as he normally would. But honestly, I think he's going to take until May to figure this out, mostly because of how his first starts happened. Torrey just not giving him the proper first start of his season. He started the season late. His first game came a week after everybody else's, and you can't do that to a pitcher. These are guys who have their routines, and Corbin Burnes has his routine. That's why his start was late, because he has his routine. He knows when he's going to go, and when you mess with that, this is kind of the result of something like that. Like, he just isn't fully ready to go out there and be as dominant as he is. So that's why I think come May, I think he'll probably figure it out. Again, 5 innings, 4 runs. Last time 5 innings, 4 runs, although I don't think he deserved all those 4 runs. But still, when you're messing around with a guy this much and being a guy who's been around the league for almost 10 years now, you can't just mess around with him like that and expect him to come out super sharp. So I think that's the main issue. I don't have any real concern. I mean, the cutter is his best pitch, and sometimes you just don't have it. And it was Herrera back there, so I don't know who's doing the calls. If it was Herrera, if it was Corbin Burnes. Maybe I believe Corbin Burnes also was caught by Herrera last time, so maybe it's time that you can try out Gabby.
There we go. Sorry, I was muted. Yes, I still think that Gabby behind the plate for Corbin Burnes is still the better call. I think that Gabby's just a better game manager. I think I still think framing is a super overrated stat for catchers. Like, who fucking cares if you're good at lying to an umpire? Just bring me automated ball strike system. And let me see the catchers who can actually throw runners out and hit well be the big reason why they're valued, and not just, again, lying to an umpire. But there was a interesting stat here from Jesse. Obviously, the Diamondbacks, I think it was you yourself, Brandon, that mentioned earlier, we're supposed to have one of the best starting rotations in the league. Jesse Friedman, formerly of PHNX, now on Snakes territory. Love Jesse's content and all that. But he was saying that D-backs rotation has completed 2 turns. Gallen has gone 10 and 2/3. He has a 3.38 ERA. Kelly has gone 9 innings. He has a 10 ERA. Brandon Pfaadt has gone 12. He has a 5.25 ERA. Eduardo Rodriguez has gone 10 and a third. He's got a 6.10 ERA. And then Corbin Burnes in 9 and a third innings has a 5.79 ERA. The combined ERA of the staff is at 5.96. So definitely not what was advertised from any of these guys kind of going into the season. I feel like Gallen's start against the Yankees the other day definitely made these numbers a lot more, or like a lot better than they could have been. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it could have been in the 6s or 7s on that ERA before Gallen gave those 6 2/3 of a shutout ball. But Brandon, what are some of your thoughts, obviously, on Corbin Burnes' struggles today with his command and just not really looking Burnes-esque that we were, kind of advertised?
Too many non-competitive pitches. That's the thing that drives me nuts. is when you throw the pitch and the batter doesn't even have to think. Like, non-competitive pitches drive me freaking nuts, and it felt like almost every batter, like in the first couple of innings, he was down like 2-0 or 3-0. Like, it's really hard to come back from that. Like, that's just tough. I'm not ready to push like the panic button on Burns yet, but it is a little worrisome. That is for sure. 2 starts, not looking the best, but luckily we are still early. Also, we have a new pitching coach. I think that's probably a factor as well. A lot of them are still kind of probably getting used to just having a new pitching coach. Gallen speaks very highly of him. That's probably why Gallen has the best ERA out of the 5 starters so far. It's all because of his stellar out. Because if you take game 1, he wasn't that great, but game 2 against the Yankees, he looked Cy Young caliber. So I'm not really like I know everyone's worried because this is what our issue was in the second half last year. It's the reason we didn't make the playoffs. Is our starting pitching ERA was like bottom 10. Like I think we were like 23 or something. Like it was not good. It was not good at all. So, and yeah, I'm very like the whole thing with having Herrera behind the plate. I don't know if that's a Torrey decision or it's a Burns decision. Because there are just certain guys that just prefer to have another guy behind the plate. So I guess we'll have to see in Burns' next start, which will be against the Brewers at Chase Field. I'm curious to see who's going to be behind the plate. Is it going to – if it's Herrera, to me, he just likes to throw to him, probably because of the way that he calls games. But I don't think he calls games that great. I don't like Jose. Like, yeah, it was cool. He hit a home run today, and he's batting like 300. Give it by June 1st. I bet the dude's batting 210. Like, he is going to have that stretch where he goes 0 for 3, 0 for 4, over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Yes, he's again. I know he made me eat my words immediately in the group chat, and obviously had his second hit today. But it's just unfortunate. Even Charles Elliott, I think this is a good comparison. Like, you know, maybe not comparison, but a good point. There are hitters that are terrible hitters, but some guys that are great and like they have really good minds. They're good at framing. And he's saying Herrera ain't no Jeff Mathis. Hard for me to fathom. He calls the game that much better than Gabby does, and I do agree. I know it's been, you know, maybe he has a good rapport with some of the pitchers and all that, but I just, again, framing is overrated in general. I do think Gabby's better at framing. I think he's better at throwing runners out. I mean, like, he's one of the best at that aspect in the league. I think not too many guys, maybe like Patrick Bailey is better than him at potentially throwing guys out, but Gabby's got him on that aspect. Gabby's a better hitter. Like, I know Gabby needs his days off, obviously, but even as Gabe said earlier, if our potential all-star catcher is only starting or like around 90 games, playing in around 100, I don't think Herrera deserves that kind of leash. I think he should be one of those where he starts once a week, not, you know, 2-3 times a week, because again, it's just, I don't know. I do think there is something to the game calling where it does, like, I'll have to try to find a site where I can at least look at a pitcher's ERA with a certain catcher and see exactly, you know, if there is any correlation with that. Maybe it's just generally the pitchers are having an off day, or if it is something that the catcher behind the plate is, you know, kind of leading to some of those issues. But yes, it's just not the game that we all expected. I know we wanted to end our weekend here with a nice win against Nationals, going to our next homestand, first homestand since opening weekend against the Cubs, because we do have the Orioles coming up, which tune in tomorrow. We will have Gabe joining a radio host for the Orioles as he, you know, kind of breaks down the series and all that. So another reason to follow us on Twitter to kind of see the news, all that, because Gabe will be hopping on there to, you know, preview that series with the Orioles. But again, just not the ideal outcome here, leaving the nation's capital. Wanted to see the D-backs take on at least 2 of the 3 wins, potential sweep. That was obviously the opposite of it. But just got to turn the page, move on. There's still 152 games left this season. Let's see them, kind of find their rhythm and get on a little roll, especially if they could do it while Cattell's out and then have him join a really hot team. That'd be super ideal. But looking forward to the series that we have against the Baltimore Orioles, game 1 tomorrow, Monday night, 6:40 p.m. It'll be Zach Eflin, who is 1-1 with a 3.75 ERA, going up against Zach Gallen, the battle of Zachs. Gallen is 1-1 with a 3.38 ERA. Tuesday's matchup will be Charlie Morton, good old Charlie Morton. I don't know how he's still doing it at his age, but he is 0-2 with a 9.72 ERA, so I guess he's not still doing it. Going up against Merrill Kelly, the mainstay looking to bounce back from his horrible start against the Yankees. He is 1-1 with the 10 ERA. And then Wednesday's game, Dean Kremer, who was 1-1 with a 6.52 ERA, going up against our man Brandon Pfaadt, the rosy-cheeked man himself, who was 1-1 with the 5.25 ERA. So should be, just going off numbers alone, I think the D-backs do have a pretty solid advantage on the pitching side. Just hope to see their bats show up and whatnot. But any predictions, anything that you guys are going to be looking at this series with the Baltimore Orioles coming up, anything that you want to see, or just anything in general that you're hoping to see? So Gabe, start with you.
Yeah, so what you were mentioning at first, yeah, I'll be on Herb FM radio. It's like a Baltimore, I guess a local sports radio in Baltimore. We will be tweeting that out. Should be going live at 4:45 to talk about the series. But yeah, I'm hoping for a series win. Like I don't know how many times we can say that throughout the year, but I'm hoping that we can do that just because of the matchups. Morton and Kramer haven't looked too good so far, but probably that Charlie Morton start is probably going to be the one that we just get destroyed. He's probably going to go 7 innings, no runs, because that's just the way things work out for some reason. But I'm curious about how they bounce back, how the offense bounces back, how these other guys bounce back. I mean, at Gallen, how is he going to look coming back? We mentioned it last time, like it was very cold in New York, but he did have pinpoint accuracy. How is he going to follow that up? Is he going to look as great as he did that day, or is it going to be the same 5 innings, 4 runs Gallen that we saw throughout last season? And Kelly, how is he going to bounce back? He just got destroyed by the Yankees. He had no accuracy, just looked completely out of sorts out there. And Pfaadt, I'm probably going to do another Pfaadt start, 6 innings, 3 runs, and then, not get the win because just for some reason, they refuse to win when he plays. But I'm hoping for 2 games. I mean, the Orioles aren't starting out too great. They have a couple of injuries. Gunnar Henderson's down. They're 4-6, so the D-backs have a better record than them. It's not like they've been playing the best teams in the league either. So hopefully they're able to bounce back and get back in the win column. And then hopefully we see from there. This is a good, exciting Orioles team. So if you guys are able to go down, see this team, like these are potential World Series matchups that we're seeing.
A lot of people have predicted it a few years ago. I know I've been saying for 4 years, like mostly started as a meme, but 2025 World Series champions, Arizona Diamondbacks. And I was even saying it before. I'd love to see them against the Orioles. So who knows, maybe a potential World Series matchup. But in general, I do echo Gabe's thoughts and agree with him. I do just want to see them at least win the series. Please don't do the typical D-backs thing where they make a pitcher who has an insane ERA and who isn't good look like a goddamn Cy Young candidate, because they were doing that with Will Warren, and then even just continue the scoring. Don't score in bunches, or don't only score in like an inning or so and then like get shut down like they did against Carlos Rodon. Like if Zach Gallen didn't have the start that he had against the Yankees in that game, like I think that would have been one of the things that we kind of focused on more, is the fact that he retired 10 Diamondbacks in a row. I don't want to see that kind of thing against I know Eflin is a really solid pitcher, obviously, but I think that Morton and Kremer, they do definitely need to take care of business against them, and at least win 2 or 3. But I think that their potential sweep is definitely something, especially coming home, being a little bit pissed off how the series ended, being back at Chase Field, hopefully with a bunch of D-backs fans in attendance to cheer them on. I think hopefully have a little bit more gas in their and pep in their step, and can turn the page a little bit and get back into the team that we know they can be. But Brandon, anything from you, obviously, that you're looking forward to in this series? Maybe some predictions, maybe things that you want to see the team focus on, or you yourself are going to be keeping an eye on coming into this 3-game set against Baltimore?
I'm curious if we're gonna have any roster moves within the next 24 hours. I'm very curious because I know it's early, but Jake has not looked good at if Gabe said, if he was getting hard hit, if he was barreling up the ball and just right at guys, it wouldn't bother me. But everything is soft. It's just like he's barely it's like rollovers or just ground ball. Like he's just not barreling up the baseball at all. I think he has lost his confidence. He needs to go down to Reno and just he needs to play every day, regardless of how he's hitting. Needs to play day in and day out for a couple of weeks to get that confidence back. Because this has happened twice before, probably more than twice, where he's not hitting at the major league level. They send him down, and then he just tears the cover off the ball, and he comes up, and then he's the Jake that we all know and love, where he does hit more consistently than Thomas. So I'm curious if they're gonna, because that pinch hit decision today made no sense to me. I'm like, it's Herrera. You're gonna have to sub in Gabby. Why not at least have Gabby hit? If that was the case, that one didn't make sense. I know what Toy was trying to do. It was like a big moment. This is it's now or never for him. Yeah, Toy just makes those decisions that are real head scratchers. I get why he makes those moves, but the end result usually doesn't pan out. I think Monday is going to probably be the most competitive out of the three, just due to the pitching matchup. Got the battle of the Zacks. One is ZAC, one's CH, but still the battle of the Zacks. Merrill needs a massive bounce back, a big time one. He needs to get 6 innings, 4 hit. He needs to really bounce back because that Yankees outing was bad. That was tough to watch. So, but take a series win because Padres came back and beat the Cubs today. So, we are 3 games back of those teams right now. 3 games may not seem a lot right now, but it blink next week and it could be more. So you need to have a very good 6-game homestand. So just obviously a sweep would be freaking awesome, but at least take a series win because I think we have the pitching matchup in all 3 games. So there's no reason why we shouldn't. It's all going to depend on what the starting pitching does. So please do not give up 2 or 3 runs in the first because I will pull my hair out.
Yes, it's something to look forward to. Corbin Barrels is bringing up in our comments here saying one thing to ease your pain other than the series is strength of schedule. And it does seem like the D-backs will have a little bit of a, hopefully, again, the one thing that sucks is sometimes they do seem to play down in the competition, but hopefully they can take advantage of it, even if they're missing a few pieces here and there, the main one being Cattell. Just would like to see them, go out there, be aggressive, and prove why there's a lot of hype behind this team, why a lot of people think that they're going to be, back in the playoffs and contending. Obviously, it's going to be tough to take down the Dodgers, but at least contending for, another title. But it'll be something to look out for, obviously, as the series goes on, just as the season goes on in general. So this is why you guys want to make sure you join the Discord, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok as well, and go over to azsnakepit.com because we're going to be covering, especially AZ Snake Pit. There's going to be a lot of articles over there throughout the entire season covering everything. The Discord's always going to be popping off. We're always going to have, especially some of our thoughts and opinions as news breaks. Obviously, we'll talk about it on the show. But if any roster decisions like Brandon's predicting, anything like that happens, we'll be in the Discord discussing that. Same with game day threads, game day discussion. So highly recommend going to the Discord, checking that out. It's always popping. And then also, again, make sure you guys tune in tomorrow as Gabe's on the radio show talking about the Orioles series. Should have that tweeted out, so another good reason to follow us over there because, it's always interesting to hear Gabe's thoughts, and it's always interesting to get a little bit more of, kind of a rundown on some of the teams. Because, yes, we're a lot of baseball fans. We might know some of these teams' names and some of the players' names and all that, but we might not be as familiar to, the ins and outs, the ongoings, like the current, track record, because some people might be surprised to see the D-backs pitching staff being, doing as terribly as it has been. So that'll be something for Gabe to, kind of discuss with them. And maybe we can get some things to keep an eye on from them since they know their team a little bit better. So again, tune in tomorrow as Gabe will be on that. But we appreciate each and every single one of you guys for tuning in to this Sunday series recap. Unfortunately, we wish it would have been a little bit happier. Wish we could have been talking about a series win, but you just got to turn the page and move on. We should be live, I believe, either I think Wednesday. I don't know if we're confirmed on that. It'll be either Wednesday or Thursday. We'll be here discussing the Baltimore Orioles series recap. So hopefully we have a little bit more positive news to talk about. Maybe we'll have some more roster discussions and roster moves to kind of break down. But in the meantime, again, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and then join the Discord. And we hope to see you guys all there. You guys all have a great rest of your Sunday and take it easy.
Under the lights, the game goes down. Desert heat, but we own this town. Brennan, Gabe on the call with Josh in the back.